uptight, hypocritical Christians that voted in droves for their racist, fascist leader, a liar, a criminal, a sexual predator. Of course, I'm referring to Kanks. Well, he thinks so little about your faith, or you think so little about your faith because racism rules your heart, that guess what? In his online flea market, he's rolled out yet another Bible, presidential edition commemorating the 45th and 47th president of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. Holy Bible, God bless the USA. Donald Trump, and it has the seal, the presidential edition Bible for $99.99. Now, I'm not religious, but I grew up around a bunch of religious whack jobs, okay, growing up in the Bible Belt. And the one thing that they always go to is like blasphemy and blasphemy. And it's this big thing. This, correct me if I'm wrong, this is blasphemous, is it not?
100%. And then when Gavin Newsom did his fake, because he's mocking Trump, he did his fake Bible.
Yep.
It was MAGA. I cannot believe he is denigrating the Bible. This is blasphemous. This guy, right next to the Trumpy Trout wall, has his, Trump Bible made in China. He has the presidential seal. He is profiting off selling the Bible from the Oval Office. It's hypocrisy on steroids.
And there is a larger message here, you guys. This is he is optically presenting Christian nationalism. This is a secular country. If any president did like the Quran or the Torah and put the presidential seal on it, everybody would go bananas. We are secular. The founders, who these guys never mention anymore, implicitly wanted the United States of America to be secular. So the idea that he's doing this isn't just because he's a grifter, and that's a huge part of it, but also it's the constant optics to present to the public and prime them that we are a Christian nationalist country. And one of the biggest facilitators of this is closeted homosexual. I shouldn't have said that. Is Grindr's top user, I think I'm wrong again. Well, anyway, it's just Moses Mike Johnson. Moses Mike Johnson is the biggest promoter of this. And the service that he provides to this fascist regime is to go out and Christian wash everything. While this regime locks people up, sends them to concentration camps, denies them due process, has ICE kidnapping people off the streets, taking away health care from poor people, all of the stuff that Jesus Christ spoke out against the Bible. And this is before I even get to how Moses Mike supports with every molecule, DNA in his body, the people above him to accumulate as much wealth as possible, when his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, spoke out implicitly against the accumulation of wealth. And I know this, and I'm an atheist, but Moses Mike sure doesn't seem to know this. And this guy rolls out for Trump all the time and Christian washes for the racist, white supremacist, fake Christian base every chance he can get. And they have a huge problem with Kanks being right at the epicenter with a pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein. They have a huge problem with Kanks allowing Ghislaine Maxwell to move prisons, who is a child sex trafficker, a convicted one. So what does Moses Mike do? He just starts making shit up, or maybe he's not. I don't know. Play the clip.
Not saying that what Epstein did is a hoax. It's a terrible, unspeakable evil. He believes that himself. When he first heard the rumor, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. He was an FBI informant to try to take this stuff down. The president knows and has great sympathy for the women who have suffered these unspeakable harms. It's detestable to him. He and I have spoken about this as recently as 24 hours ago.
You know, his speech pattern, it's like so flight of ideas. And the fact that this guy, like, he gets out there and he's saying that Kanks is an FBI informant. So if he is an FBI informant, spill it, Kanks.
Right. Release the files.
Spill the beans. What'd you see? What did you inform? You only were a pedophile for the FBI? I mean, what's going on with that?
Here's the deal with Mike Johnson. Number one, he stands on his Bible and everything he says is a lie. And I'm pretty sure that's a commandment. Thou shalt not lie. He clearly idolizes Trump more than his faith. Mike Johnson protects pedophiles. He has done it since the time he was going to be dean of his mentor's law school that eventually never opened because his mentor, with whom the law school was going to be named, sexual predator. So Mike Johnson, Covering up for sexual predators is nothing new for him. That's right in his ballywhack. And anybody that looks at him that does all the things that he does when his district, 40% are on Medicare or Medicaid, and he's taking away because he doesn't give a shit. He is as evil to the core as I've ever seen. Every Christian that follows him should look in the mirror and say, I need to reevaluate myself, because if you're following this man, you are fucked.
There's no question. This guy is evil to his core. And Mike Johnson and the normalization of us having politicians like this, you guys, he claims that God woke him up in the middle of the night and is like, hey, little buddy, get up. It's God here. You're Moses. This guy is a lunatic. He is an absolute lunatic of the highest order. And he is a complete religious fanatic. And I think what we have in the United States of America is swaths of people who have been abused by the Christian faith, the type of hellfire damnation Christian faith that teaches people when they're born, you're a bad person. The only way that you can be good is this. And all of these people are now running the country right now. We have religiously damaged people running the country who worship Trump, as Pumps pointed out, more than they do their God, which is one of the violations of the 10 Commandments. But I don't give a shit about any of that. I just want a good person to be in charge, somebody who's better than everybody else, has better ideas to be in charge, but not these fuckers. All right. So the Trump administration is rather perplexed at Mike Johnson going off script. Put this up. Rolling Stone is reporting the Trump administration officials are perplexed by House Speaker Mike Johnson's claims that Donald Trump was an FBI informant in the case against Jeffrey Epstein. The Washington Post yesterday actually broke that Moses Mike is walking the statement back, which means Moses Mike is admitting that he lied. All right. And to go into Moses Mike a little bit here, Pumps talked about the guy that Moses Mike idolized. And this guy's a pedophile.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Moses Mike and his wife have a bunch of pray the gay away camps. So all you white ladies out there that enjoy having a lesbian friend and a gay hairdresser and your black friend that you go get margaritas with, just know that when you go vote, you're voting for white, racist, homophobic, closeted nut jobs that want to do away with all of this stuff. So I hope you enjoy your tax break when you put your head on the pillow at night, because all of your life, all the fun parts of it, these people are trying to dismantle. So it's important to remind everybody that Moses Mike Johnson married his daughter when she was 13. Mike Johnson married his daughter at a purity ball, and he protects pedophiles. So this purity ball shit, we've covered it before, but this is nuts. This is completely psychotic. So in the United States of America, for our international listeners, you have this antiquated push, and all the pressure goes on little girls to keep themselves virgins until they're married. And a lot of these girls get purity rings, and they basically go to this wedding ceremony where they marry their dads. Think about that. Marry their dads. Their dad puts a ring on their finger. And then at a later date, the dad gives the virginity to their spouse. And this shit's very, very, very real. I've had conversations. I had conversations with some mutual friends of ours. This is how crazy people in Oklahoma are. When Pumps' youngest son was a junior in high school, I ran into somebody who said, yeah, that boy and his girlfriend, I bet they're going to get married. And I was just like, we're talking about a 16-year-old. And this shit in the Bible Belt, you guys, this shit is real. They see, there's no area or time where you can critically think for self-discovery. You go from being in your parents' home straight to the institution of marriage. And so many of these structures exploit women and children, always. They always exploit women and children.
I look at that and I think, Mike Johnson, the pedophiles that you are protecting were raping girls your daughter's age. Have you ever thought about that? Mike Johnson, do you know that you sitting there and lying and protecting pedophile hurts these women that were already victimized at the age of your daughter. Nothing screams protect a pedophile more than he comes out and he listens to those women and he says they have been delayed justice for too long. And then he goes and votes against the resolution to release the Epstein files. Mind you, he has all the power to release them today if he wanted to. Then he gets on there and says Donald Trump turned Jeffrey Epstein in. This is so fucking ridiculous. Donald Trump brags about shit that's not real. If that were real, wouldn't he be the first one to brag about it? And I just want to say this, Mike Johnson, nobody has a conversion camp and talks about how bad it is to be gay in the world as much as in my lifetime and in my experience. People that are this anti-gay are repressed gays that are trying to talk themselves out of it, because he talks about being gay and conversion camps and all that shit more than all the gay people on the planet combined. And I think it's because that's what he wants. He wants that, but he can't because of his religious beliefs and all the shame with it. And I just think Mike Johnson, if there is a God, he's in big trouble, because you know who he's sacrificing himself for? Somebody that calls it 2 Corinthians. That's what he's doing.
All right. Next up, it's important to understand the MAGA base, you guys. And it's, as you all watch this and we're in this silo, it's like clearly Moses Mike is probably a closeted homosexual. And here's the thing, if somebody lives their life being closeted in a passive way, that's their business. These people actively persecute and actively abuse people who are trying to find pride and get out of the shame. Nobody in their right mind chooses to be gay in the middle of the Bible Belt. When I was 7 years old, I asked my mother what gay was. She told me what it was. And I said, well, why would somebody be that way? And she said, they're just born that way. Nobody in their right mind would choose to be gay in the middle of all of these vile, evil, fake Christians. These people weaponize their faith and harm everybody around them. And now they have a political movement because they started this. They started their ambitions through these churches that have now morphed into these mega churches, which is a big religious industrial complex. And they get abused and poisoned by the pulpit. And just look at this video that I'm about to play for you, you guys. We live around, not technically in Oklahoma City, but you just get a half inch outside of it, and this shit rains, what this lady says right here.
I don't want to say he's perfect. The only perfect person that ever walked this earth was Jesus, but he was wonderful in office for 4 years, and he proved that. So what is it about Trump that you love so much?
Number one, he's a godly man. He's working for God, for darn sure. Number two, he really cares about us. He cares about us. He cares about what happens to us. He cares about our country. He didn't come in there because he wanted the money. He's got money. He's coming there because he is actually working for God, and he wants to help us, and he wants to get us to he wants to make America great again. And I it's true.
Okay. So you wonder who buys the presidential sealed Bibles, who goes and votes for him. You guys, what she said isn't happening in a vacuum. It's everywhere. We have a major psycho-Christian problem in this country. It is a cult. It is evil. It is diabolical because it actively knows, the same way Vladimir Putin knows. How does Vladimir Putin enter the American sphere? Through the National Prayer Breakfast. How did Donald Trump get elected? Through people that are primed at a very young age to see the world in a very binary way. People that are told, you're not good. You have to have a savior. So they're primed from a very, very, very young age to authoritarianism. There's really no difference between the Old Testament God and Donald Trump. Demand blind obedience, demand all this worship, demand all of this cruelty, the demonization of other groups. These people have been primed from birth, and they want to do away with the institutions that make them uncomfortable, like schools and universities and places of free thought and free thinking. And until the Democratic Party grows some balls and starts addressing this crazy Christian problem, these crazy Christians will continue to win. And Democrats can do it 2 ways. You can have secular people speak out, but you can also have choir boy, Andy Beshear, speak out. The Democratic governor of Mitch McConnell, blood red Kentucky, who ran and won on the message of love that he gets from his faith. He is a deeply religious person. We've had him here in this studio on our podcast. He didn't throw trans kids under the bus because his faith instructed him not to do that. And so the Democrats have got to get real about calling out these crazy, psycho religious people, because Democrats operate on this assumption, well, they're not going to get power. Nobody takes them seriously. Take them seriously because they're very serious. They're very serious about a religious, white supremacist country that worships a leader. They're dead fucking serious about it, and it's happening. It's truly happening. All right. To read about Pumps, this is really important. I think her story is so important. She used to be not quite that crazy as that lady, but right in the Death Star, evangelical Christian, deconstructed her faith. I think a lot of Americans are probably experiencing what she experienced right now, seeing the depravity of this party that claims to be so religious. Pumps talks about that in our book here, which is the fall's coolest book. And it's really interesting, and it has our backstory. So the link is below in the show notes. Buy it. It's a great way to support us, and we'll see you all later.